The moment real danger appears, something ancient wakes up inside you. Not motivation, not willpower. Survival. For more than 200,000 years, this single mode kept human beings alive when there was no comfort, no safety net, no second chance. And that same system is still hardwired inside your brain today, quietly waiting. When survival mode turns on, your body doesn't ask for permission. Your heart rate changes, your senses sharpen, your brain stops wasting energy on distractions. This is not a metaphor, this is biology. Neuroscience shows that under perceived threat, the brain shifts control from the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for comfort, overthinking, and hesitation, to older regions like the amygdala and brainstem. These areas evolve to make split-second decisions that keep you alive. That's why people lift cars in emergencies. That's why soldiers perform under extreme pressure. That's why humans adapt fastest when comfort disappears. Evolution did not reward comfort. It rewarded those who could act when everything was on the line. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Modern life has turned survival mode off. Food is easy, shelter is stable. Threats are abstract, so the brain stays relaxed, inefficient, and unchallenged. Studies in behavioral psychology show that humans dramatically increase focus, learning speed, and resilience when stakes feel real. When the brain believes failure equals loss, it reallocates resources instantly. This is why deadlines create productivity, why crisis creates leaders, why pressure reveals capability. Survival mode doesn't make you weaker. It reveals what evolution already built into you. And once you understand how this mechanism works, you stop waiting for motivation and start activating power. When survival mode stays off for too long, the brain begins to forget what it's capable of. Research from cognitive science shows that the human brain follows a simple rule: use it or lose it. Skills tied to urgency, problem solving, and rapid adaptation weaken when life feels too safe. But when pressure returns, something remarkable happens. The brain releases stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol, not to harm you, but to optimize performance. Reaction time improves, memory sharpens, pain tolerance increases. This has been measured repeatedly in controlled studies, from emergency responders to athletes under high stakes. This is why humans evolve fastest during hardship. Wars accelerate technology, scarcity forces innovation, uncertainty builds resilience. Your ancestors didn't wait to feel ready. They adapted, or they didn't survive. And here's the key psychological shift. Survival mode is not panic. It's clarity. When the brain believes something truly matters, excuses disappear. Energy stops leaking into overthinking. Action becomes instinctive. The danger today isn't stress, it's comfort without challenge. The moment you introduce real stakes, responsibility, discipline, consequences, you reawaken the evolutionary engine that built humanity. And once that engine starts running, there's no going back to who you were before. Survival mode doesn't just change how you feel. It physically rewires how your brain works. Neuroplasticity research shows that the brain forms new neural connections fastest under challenge and necessity. When the environment demands adaptation, the brain increases learning speed and efficiency. This is not inspiration. It's an evolutionary response. Under pressure, the brain filters information differently. Non-essential thoughts drop away. Decision-making becomes faster. Energy is conserved for what matters most. This is why people often discover their real abilities during crisis, not comfort. Think about it carefully. Humans didn't evolve intelligence in peaceful conditions. They evolved it while facing predators, scarcity, cold, and uncertainty. Every tool, language system, and social structure was built because survival required innovation. Modern neuroscience confirms this pattern. Controlled stress, not chronic fear, but meaningful challenge, strengthens resilience, emotional regulation, and problem-solving capacity. When challenge is absent, the system becomes underused. This explains something deeply uncomfortable. Many people don't lack potential, they lack pressure. Without stakes, the brain never switches into its highest gear. Survival mode doesn't destroy you, it organizes you. And when your mind becomes organized around survival, growth stops being optional. It becomes inevitable. When survival mode activates, the body and brain begin working as a single system. Physiology backs this up. Under acute challenge, the nervous system prioritizes strength, speed, and endurance. Blood flow is redirected to muscles and vital organs. The senses become more sensitive to sound, movement, and change. This response has been documented across cultures, ages, and environments. It's the same mechanism that allowed early humans to hunt, migrate, and protect their groups. But there's an important distinction most people miss. Survival mode is not chaos, it's efficiency. In high-stakes situations, the brain suppresses hesitation. Doubt becomes expensive. Overanalysis disappears because it wastes time. What remains is action-oriented focus, psychological studies on extreme environments, from polar expeditions to disaster zones, show that humans often become calmer and more decisive once danger is clearly defined. Uncertainty causes stress, clear stakes create direction. This is why many people feel strangely alive during difficult periods of life. Not because hardship is pleasant, but because the mind finally knows what matters. Comfort blurs priorities, survival sharpens them. When the brain senses that growth is necessary, not optional, it unlocks reserves most people never access. This is not about suffering. It's about awakening a system designed to protect, adapt, and overcome. And once that system is engaged, evolution doesn't pause, it accelerates. Here's where survival mode reveals its deepest power. When humans face sustained challenge, the brain doesn't just react, it adapts. Long-term studies in psychology and anthropology show that individuals exposed to meaningful responsibility develop stronger self-control, sharper judgment, and higher tolerance for stress over time. This is how evolution works. Not in comfort, but in response. The nervous system learns what is required and adjusts its baseline. What once felt overwhelming becomes normal. What once felt impossible becomes routine. This is why people who endure hardship often carry a quiet strength. Their brains have recalibrated. Importantly, research also shows that chosen difficulty has similar effects. When humans voluntarily place themselves in demanding situations, intense learning, physical training, disciplined routines, the brain activates many of the same adaptive pathways as real survival threats. The system doesn't know the difference between a predator and a consequence it takes seriously. It only responds to stakes. This means survival mode isn't something you wait for, it's something you activate. When you raise standards, remove escape routes, and attach meaning to effort, the brain shifts gears. Energy aligns, focus deepens. Growth accelerates. Evolutionary power doesn't come from wishing for change. It comes from conditions that demand it. And when demand becomes real, transformation stops being slow. This is the final shift. And it's the one most people never make. Survival mode is not meant to be permanent panic. It's meant to be intentional activation. Anthropological evidence shows that humans evolved best in cycles of challenge and recovery. Short periods of intense demand followed by rest. That rhythm built strength without collapse. When challenge disappeared entirely, stagnation followed. Modern life broke that rhythm. Too little pressure, too much comfort, and the survival system stays dormant. But when you deliberately create stakes, responsibility, discipline, purpose tied to consequence, the brain responds exactly as evolution designed it to. Focus becomes natural. Consistency replaces motivation. Action replaces intention. This is why true growth feels uncomfortable at first. You're not failing. You're activating dormant circuitry. Survival mode strips life down to essentials. What matters stays, what doesn't falls away. And in that clarity, something powerful happens. You stop asking what you feel like doing, and start doing what must be done. That's not weakness. That's evolutionary intelligence reclaiming control. When survival mode turns on, you don't become someone new. You return to what humans were always built to be: adaptive, focused, resilient. This is your evolutionary power, and it's already inside you.